Hi, welcome back. In this video, we will make our app more advanced by adding two drop-down lists here on top of these other widgets somewhere in here. The first drop-down list will contain the input currency and the second drop-down list will contain the target currency. So the user can choose between currencies to convert the value that the user enters in this text box here. So let's do this. For drop-down lists, you need to use a so-called combo box. So in one of these lines, go ahead and import Q combo box. And then let's go down here. So we said that we want to add the first combo box on top of the other widgets. And currently the first widget is a QLine edit widget, so the input text box. Therefore, I'm going to have some space here and add, you can say in combo for the input currency. And then we're going to have the target combo. So that is equal to Q combo box, which doesn't get any arguments, but then you should mention in combo and then add items to that drop-down list, because currently it has no items if you just leave it like that. So using the add items method, you can provide a list of strings, or you could write the list beforehand. So write it in between here, let's say currencies. You'll have a list of, let's say, USD and Euro and INR for Indian rupees. And you can add more currency codes here, as many as you want, or to be more accurate, as many as this xrates.com website supports. So you can go there to the website and see how many currencies it supports, and then you can add them in your list in here. So then once you define your list, you say in combo add items, and then you mention the list here, currencies, that one. So we have created our combo box, but we want to add it now to the layout by mentioning the layout and then add widget, and then you say in combo. We can do the same by duplicating these lines down here. So we have the same here now, but I want to change that to target combo, and the list stays the same. Actually, I'm going to delete this, cut out that list declaration, because we have it in here already. So in target combo, we add that list again. We're going to have the same currencies both in the input combo and in the target combo. And finally, we need to add that target combo to the layout. Now I'm going to run this code, and hopefully, yeah, we see the two drop-down lists in here. Both of them have the same items. However, now the next step is to see how we can get the current selection, the current user selection in each of the drop-down lists, so that we can get that string, for example, INR and Euro for this other one, and then we can send those two strings to this function here, so that the first string goes in this place here and the next string goes in here. So let's see how we can do that. Currently our function is a bit rigid in the sense that it's using these static strings as default values. So we want to delete those default values for the arguments of the getCurrency function, and then we go here in the show currency function definition. Here is where we call that function, that getCurrency function. So we get the rate. The getCurrency function is responsible to scrape the current rate between those two given currencies. and then we get that rate in here, we save it in this variable by calling that function. But now that we remove the default values from these arguments, we need to provide those values in here. So that means we need to get access to the selections, to the drop-down list selections from the show currency function. To do that, we can write a variable such as in for input currency is equal to in combo dot current text. So this is a method that returns the current selection of the drop-down list. So that current selection is going to be stored in this variable. And we do the same for target currency, which is equal to target combo dot current text. So before we do anything further, let's check if we got those two values correctly, in cur and target cur. So we expect to see a print in the terminal when the button is pressed. So show currency is called when the button is clicked. So let's run the code and change the second selection to euro, write a number here, press convert, and let's see the terminal. So we have an error in line 22, which is in here. So in get currency, we have an error, but the print function is before that error. So let's see what the print function returns. So USD euro. That means it's working. We have access to these two values. So USD and euros, the selection in the drop-down list. Now we can provide in cur and target cur as input to this function, to the get currency function. So those two values, USD and euro, will go in here, and then from here, in currency will go to this to construct the URL, and out currency will go to its own place. And then the function will scrape the current rate and it will return it, and this rate will be equal to the current rate. And then we calculate the output is equal to round input text, which is the number, how many currency units the user wants to convert, and we multiply that by the rate. We round it by 2 so that we don't have many numbers after the decimal point, and then we write the output in the label. And let's run this. USD to euros, 10, convert, and that's the output. If you want to make this output more user-friendly, you can go here to output and create another variable such as message is equal to an f string, and you can say input text, which is the input value of the user, and then you say in cur. So let's say the user entered 10 and we say 10 USD is how many in euros? Well, output, and target cur. So 10 USD is 8.8 euro. Let's see if this works. Oh, first we need to provide the message in here. So instead of writing the output, we write the entire message now that we constructed in here. And now we're ready to run this. Go to INR and 3 and convert, and 3 USD is that much INR, so rupees. And that's the final code. So thanks a lot for following, and I'll talk to you later. See you.